One of the things that is a stumbling block for people when they're learning how to crochet is tensioning. So we're going to learn how to tension your yarn first of all. So we're going to take the crochet hook and throw that away for a minute, and we're going to look at how to tension your yarn. Now what I suggest you do, there's different ways of doing this, but this is what I do. Take your yarn, wrap it around your little finger, put it up through your hand, through the palm of your hand, put it underneath your middle finger and over the top of your index finger. Now what this does is, here you're creating a friction around your finger with the yarn, and you can control that friction by moving that finger there. Okay, so if I keep those together, I can pull this. It's quite tricky to pull it. If I open those out, I can pull it really, really easily. Okay, so close those up. That adds a lot of tension. Open them up, loosen off those grip between those, and it runs really freely. Now, I'm just going to do that again. So here's my yarn. Do it around your little finger, up through your palm, between your middle finger and your index finger, and over the top. Now, when you're actually working on your crochet, you're going to probably relax these fingers down. So that creates even more tension. I don't know whether you can see that because I've got it around the other way. Creates even more tension. Now the other way that you control your tension is with this index finger here. So when I'm working on my crochet here, this index finger, if I pull it up, that's going to tighten that tension. If I loosen it down, it lets me have a little bit more yarn. Now when my yarn gets to the stage where it's getting close to my index finger, I can then relax the tension on these two fingers here and pull another bit of yarn through just by straightening that finger. Okay, so you work your way up to here, loosen that, straighten that finger, and tighten it up again. It gives you a bit more yarn to work with. Okay, so that's how I do the tensioning. So what I want you to practice is I want you to practice wrapping that around your little finger, over your palm, between those two, and just practice holding your yarn like this, pulling it through and squeezing those fingers together to stop it, and loosening them off, moving that finger up and down, that little bit there, to be able to pull some more through. Okay, tensioning. Okay, so once we've learnt how to tension and we've learnt how to make our magic ring, cross that over through that first loop, grab the yarn and pull it through. Just hold that with my finger and thumb while I put my tension on. Now if I'm not working in the round, if I'm going to work a straight piece of work, I can just pull that tail to close up that slip knot. Don't pull it too tight, that's probably enough. And then I'm ready to do a chain. Now traditionally what you do then is you work your first chain. So you do that by wrapping the crochet hook around the yarn, twist your hook, pull it through the loop. Okay, now the loop that you pull through, you don't want it too tight because otherwise you're going to have difficulty pulling the next loop through here, and you don't want it too loose because otherwise you end up with more holes than crochet. So with your thumb and your finger, so put your finger underneath, thumb on top, and that holds it just at the right tension. Remember, you're tensioning with this finger here by moving it backwards and forwards, and you're gripping with these two fingers at the back. So crochet hook goes down, up, twist it and pull that loop through. Now what I want you to do is I just want you to practice making a chain. So carry on doing that, pull the loops through, and I want you to try to get them all the same size. So remember to support with your middle finger, pinch with your thumb, pull the next loop through, move your pinch up, pull the next loop through, move your pinch up. So you're always supporting the stitch you've just done with your finger and thumb. Pull the next loop through and carry on with your chain. Now, once you've got a nice, long, even chain, you've practiced moving the work through your fingers. So I'll show you, look. As I work the chain, if I hold this nice and tight in my fingers here and in this one here, gradually I'm using up the yarn and I get closer and closer to my finger. What I'm actually doing though is every time I go to pull another loop through, I'm loosening the grip in these fingers slightly so that as I pull it through, it pulls through quite easily, and then I tighten it up again. Okay, and this is my fine control with my index finger. Okay, so as you do it, pull it through there, loosen your grip a little bit so that it pulls through. And once it's pulled through, see my fingers are apart at the moment, once it's pulled through, tighten your grip, and that way nothing's moving, nothing's going to get too tight or too loose. When you think, okay, I think I've got that, I've got the chain sorted, but it's a bit of a waste of yarn. Let's see if we can get it in focus. Come on. It's going to focus in a minute. And you want to reuse your yarn. Just pull the end and it just pulls apart all the way back to the start. Okay, and you're ready to try again. So the next thing we're going to learn how to do is how to start off your crochet. Now I'm going to suggest that we start all of our crochet, regardless of whether we're working in the round or whether we're working a straight project, with a magic ring. If you can learn how to make a magic ring, it's going to make your life so much more easy. So to start off with, I want you to put the yarn across your hand with the tail of the yarn towards your little finger. Okay. Then wrap the yarn, see I'm holding it here with my thumb, wrap it around my index finger and cross it over. Now I'm going to move my thumb up here. So I'm holding the tail of the yarn with my little finger there and it's crossing over there. Take your crochet hook. Your crochet hook is going to go underneath this loop here, which is the one that's next to the end of your finger and towards your nail. This one here. Put your crochet hook underneath that one and twist it to grab this one here. Grab it, pull it through, twist your crochet hook round and pull up a loop. Now once you've got that loop there, I'm just going to hold it in place by pinching it between my thumb and my finger like that, so I can get my finger out of my magic ring. So this here, this is your magic ring. And if you're working in the round, you can work in this magic ring and you can make it bigger, you can make it smaller. Okay, that's your magic ring. So if we're working in the round, the first thing we've got to do is to finish off that stitch. To finish off that stitch, I'm going to support it with my middle finger underneath and I'm going to put my thumb on top, and that stops that loop from getting any bigger or any smaller while I'm positioning my crochet hook. So my crochet hook is going to go push it down so it goes around this yarn here. Twist your crochet hook so that the yarn goes into that hook there and then pull that through the loop. There we go. Again, just adjust and hold it in place. I'm going to pinch it with my thumb and finger. It will stay there, but I don't want it to get any smaller. You don't want to get it any tighter or any looser. Too loose and you end up with more holes than yarn. too tight and you can't pull your next loop through. Okay, so if we're working in the round, what we're going to do is we're going to take a crochet hook, we're going to put it through the magic ring and around the yarn, twist the crochet hook to pull a loop up through the ring. So now we've got 2 loops on our crochet hook. There we go. I'm going to pinch them with my thumb and middle finger to hold them in place. 1, 2 loops. And my crochet hook moves quite freely through those 2 loops. Then put your crochet hook down around that yarn, twist your crochet hook, so that you can pull that loop back through both of those and twist it back round. Okay, so that's your first stitch into your magic ring. I'm going to show you that again. Okay, before I do, the tail from the start of our magic ring, we just keep it running along here. So when we're going through a magic ring, there are two strands there. Yep, we hold a magic ring open with our finger and our thumb into the magic ring, around, twist your crochet hook, grab the first loop. I put my finger on top here just to hold them in place while I adjust my grip. Middle finger underneath, thumb on top. Now I'm ready to do my next loop. Around that one, twist your crochet hook, pull that loop through both of them and twist it back around that way. Okay, so next one, I'll just do this one slightly quicker. In we go, twist it round, pull up a loop, hold it with my finger again, twist it round, pull that through both of them. You can do as many of those as you need to for your pattern. Quite often if it's a hat or something like that, it's usually 8 or 10 stitches. I'm just going to do a few just to show you what happens when we've got the number of stitches that we need to for our first row in our magic ring. Okay, I'm going to leave it there. We've got a few stitches on here. Now take your tension off. To make it into your magic ring, you take this tail and as you pull it, you'll see it tightens up. It's just a slip knot. Tightens up, tightens up, tightens up, and you can pull it nice and tight until you can hardly see anything through the middle. Now to finish off our magic ring, I'm going to put my tension back on, finger round, up over my index finger, and I'm just going to do a slip knot. Now a slip knot doesn't add any height to your crochet. So to do your slip knot, you need to find the first stitch. So you're looking here on the side, you can see there's 2 stitches there. Now what you're going to do is you're going to put your crochet hook through them. I find that I quite often need to use my finger just to ease my crochet hook through that first stitch there. Grab the yarn, twist your crochet hook. I'm going to put it through those 2 and through this one without doing an extra loop. That way I don't add any height to it. And there we go, we've done our first round of a magic ring. Now the last thing I'm going to teach you in your first lesson is to make a foundation chain. Now as you saw just now, we learnt how to make a chain of loops, series of slip knots basically. Now that's all very well, but the trouble with that is that it's sometimes difficult if you do that to then, when you do your next row, to work out where it is that you're supposed to put your stitches. Now I'll just show you hopefully quite quickly. So if I make a chain like we just showed you, let's do 3 or 4, maybe another couple, like that. If I then need to make my second chain, it's not always easy to see where I need to put this. Do I need to go through there, through one, or do I need to try to go through two? It's a bit tricky, and if you are inconsistent with that, it can look a bit scrappy along the edge. So what we're going to do is something slightly different. We're going to pull this back. You're going to make your first magic ring just like we've done before. So through this one, grab hold of this one, pull it through, and there we go. Pull the magic ring tight, not too tight, and we're just going to do 2 chains. So there's 1, move my pinch up, there's 2, so 2 chains, and then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go into that first chain there, and it doesn't really matter if I go through 1 or I go through 2. Twist your crochet hook, wrap it round your yarn, twist it again, and pull a loop through that first chain. Then round the back, twist your crochet hook, and this time we're just going to pull it through 1 loop, and then grab another loop and pull that through both of them. I'm supporting this each step by pinching as I go. So there we go. Now if I turn this on its side, hopefully you can see that you've got 2 stitches here, and there's this like V shape here. That's our foundation stitch, and that's what we're going to use to make our first 2 rows at the same time. So now we're going to do our next stitch. So our next stitch goes through that V, so it needs to go through 1, 2 loops. I see that. I pull this part, you can see it there. 1, 2 loops. Can you see those 2? And make a V. Push it through both those 2 loops. If you check underneath, you got 1 underneath, you got 2 on top. Okay, I just change my tension again. Pinch that with your thumb and finger. Wrap your yarn around. Pull it through those 2 loops. Just give myself a little bit more yarn so that it's easier to work with. Pinch with my thumb and finger, wrap it round, pull that through 1 loop. Now this is a tricky bit because you don't want to pull it through both. So I hold the second loop with my finger so that I can just pull it through that 1 loop. There we go. And then loop your yarn around and pull through both. Okay, that's the foundation stitch. So one more time, push it through. So it goes through both of those. You might have to wiggle it a little bit. Grab hold of the yarn, twist your crochet hook, pull up a loop. Now I'm holding this one with my finger because I know I don't want this one to get caught up. So pull through just 1 loop. There we go. So now we've got 2 loops again. This time I'm not going to hold on to that one. I'm just going to loosely hold on to both of them because I'm going to take a loop and I'm going to pull it through both of those. That's your foundation chain. So we go through 2, loop, move your pinch, holding on to this one, 1 loop, and then through both of them. And you carry on like that until you've got as many stitches as your pattern says you need. What's really good is that, as you can see, hopefully, the underside and the top side look pretty much the same. Now if you did this with just a traditional chain, your underside always looks a little bit different and it's not quite so neat. So this is a much neater way of doing things, and you can get on much more quickly with your crochet. So have a go at doing the foundation chain. Okay, if it all goes wrong, don't worry, because just like all other crochet, it comes apart very satisfactorily just by pulling the thread. And there we go. We're back to the start. Have fun.